All right. So everybody out there in YouTube land and everybody here catching the stream live at twitch.tv/the_control freak. We just finished the league with a Grixis mid-range brew. Little dicey. So we're going to try and play some Murktide Shadow. We just trophied with this deck a couple days ago off stream. The VOD is up on YouTube now. If you're in Twitch chat, you can hit !YouTube to go see that. But essentially, this is a deck that, like, Aspiring Spike eventually started off with. Had cards like, what is that card that I can never remember the name of? The blue-black, draw 2, discard 1, unless you have 5 or more CMCs. Had that in here. Wasn't a huge fan of it. Swapped it out for, like, some Night's Whispers, extra lands, because I found myself, like, not getting above 2 lands often enough. So this is kind of where I've ended up at recently. We've got everything from like Fatal Push, Dismember to deal with dudes. We've got Drown in the Locks, Counter Spells, Archmage's Charms, Stubborn Denials to prevent our opponent's stuff from resolving. 4 Shadow, 4 Murktide is our primary threats. We went in and added a Turok to the main deck. 4 Street Wraith to help us find everything, and our 6 copies of Hand Disruption to make sure we disrupt our opponent's game plan a little bit. 2 Dress Down for like Urza Saga tokens, anything that might have an annoying ability that we'd like to stifle. In the sideboard, we've got a 3rd copy of Stubborn Denial for the non-creature unfair decks. 2 more Dress Downs for Sagas, for anything with ETB abilities. 1 Spreading Seas, great. It's been an all-star against everything from like Urza Saga to shutting down mana at Jund to Tron. So give it a shot. 2 Mystical Disputes for any of the blue mirrors. 1 Hercule's Recall for the rise of artifact decks. 1 more Turok for the white mana or white interaction decks. 1 more Bloodchief's Thirst for a little more post-board interaction. Chalice of the Void for the Cascade. 2 EE for the go wide decks, as well as things like Hammer Time, any of the food decks, whatnot. And 3 copies of Soul Guide Lantern for our Grave Hate that gets around Leyline of Sanctity. So let's go ahead and hop in, see what happens. Why no days? Because Modern's a bad format and should in fact have days. Shadow of Doubt and Isochron Scepter in the main. Let's go. Oh man, we just need to brew an Isochron Scepter deck with like 4 Scepters, a whole bunch of the transmute cards that get Scepter, like Muddle the Mixture, and then just things like Silence and Shadow of Doubt and every fun card that would annoy our opponent that we can possibly put into a deck. I think it would be fantastic. Imagine playing Burn and you Isochron Scepter and just exile like a the Storm Gain Life card. Jokes aside, that happened to my friend playing a league with old school Titan Shift. It was hilarious. Was that Matt's league? I can assure you, you don't want Ragavan and Days in the same format unless you're the one playing them. I would absolutely be the one playing them. Like, I play Legacy where I get to turn 1, fetch, shock, Thoughtseize, Daze your 1-drop, shock back in, cycle a Street Wraith, play a Shadow, go. Like, that is absolutely up my alley. It was Matt's league. I feel like I remember being there for that. All right, we're going to find an opponent eventually. All right. As always, all you have to do is like talk trash to Moto and they'll give you an opponent. So, Murktide Shadow, which I probably need to update Stream Decker. We'll keep this. Let's go collection, export, save, yes. I think this hand's like really good if our opponent does something fair, like plays creatures. We've got some stuff to do if our opponent decides to get unfair. Stream Decker, we need to update the deck list. Decks, upload, browse. There is UR Murktide, Shadow. Is this the right one? Yes. Okay, set as current. Okay, on to the match. Shadow's a good pickup. Misty Rainforest with no Yorion revealed. Alright, so this looks like it's probably a Murktide list. Dash Ragavan, cool. That means I get to fetch, shock, and dismember the Ragavan. So I can play out Shadow next turn if I want to. Or I can sit on Drown in the Lock. I think I'm going to sit on Drown in the Lock this turn. That way I can shock in next turn. Shadow outgrows Bolt or Unholy Heat. And it lets me hold up Counterspell this turn. Let's drown that. Opponent misses their third land. Damn, never mind. Talk a little bit of trash, and this is what it gets me. Yeah, we'll just play Shadow out as a 4/4. Just a 4/4. And then the hope here is that they just go like fetch, play Murktide. I had Shadow plus Stub, but it was a non-ferocious Shadow. So if my opponent just played an Unholy Heat and I Stub, they could pay the 1 for Stub and kill my Shadow. And contrary to popular belief, I don't want my opponent to be able to just kill my Shadow. How many lands do we have in this version? We've got 18 of them. That is a 1 followed by an 8. Represented by the Roman numeral X. Do I want to stub this? I think I do. Do I want to stub this? While I'm... yeah. As I was saying, represented by the Roman numerals XV111 or XVIII. I want to drown in the lock an expressive iteration. No. You may have your expressive iteration. Because I'm really hoping they just go like land, tap out for Murktide. And I don't want to just like fetch, shock, and put myself dead to like double bolt. Like give myself, or give my opponent that out that they didn't have. How many lands do you have in this version? Yeah, set 18. 5, I think. Approximately. Alright, so we'll fetch. I want to fetch and make these both 5/5s. Or am I okay hitting? I'm okay hitting for 8. Because I can fetch, shock to blank a an Unholy Heat. So like Archmage's Charm, Steal a Shadow, or is this a Murktide? Alright. You gotta have something. I can beat like Charm, Steal a Shadow plus Spell Pierce. Alright. Yeah, Shadows. Looks like Murktide's plus Spell Pierce tapping that way. I figured it was like main phase Archmage's Charm to steal my Shadow. But ultimately, it looked like opponent not being alive anymore. So let's board out some Wraiths. Kind of want to cut down on a Murktide because they're likely to bring in like Hearses or Relic of Progenitus, something like that. Shave on some Inquisitions because they don't hit Murktide. I want to board out Turok. I could do a Wraith over Turok. I like keeping in Drown in the Lock because like it's literally only dead against the card Murktide Regent. It's live against everything else in the deck most of the time. And solid. Board out Turok, I'd bring the other one in. I don't want Turok against the Counterspell Archmage's Charm deck. Like, worst thing I can do is tap out for a Turok and trade down on mana. Because, like, as a 2-mana 2-1, it's just bad. But as a 4-mana 4-3 Ditch 2, it's great, but that 4-mana 4-3 Ditch 2 is, like, never resolving. I want to take Consider and fight over Jace later. Yeah. They ditch the Bauble, so they have a blind draw off the Consider. That is their blind draw. There you go.
It's not a thing about making it accurate. It's a thing about making it feel right.
And I'll probably end up like second main casting this Dress Down. EE on 1. You have got it. You've got it so much. I can't even begin to explain how much of it you have got. Do this second main so that if I draw into some way that makes me want to cast this Murktide, it comes in with the counters, which is important. What you got?
If it's an accident, there's an error.
Murktide, Jace, Blood Moon. So if I take Murktide, yeah, I'm leaving them with Blood Moon because if they cast that, like, I am thrilled. I'm all on board them casting a Blood Moon. I'm countering it, but at the end of the day, like, they're cutting themselves off of all of their cards. So I dress down here for mana efficiency. Then I get to untap, play a Murktide. Should they so choose to Blood Moon, I've got more more blue sources than they do right now. So they could have an unholy heat. It would kill the Murktide at the moment. Guess that would be a good reason to wait.
It's not about getting all the errors out. It's about getting it to feel right.
But they kept their card off of Consider. Alright, that gives me my second island if I want it. Petty theft. Petty, how about you don't? So again, they can Murktide, or they can Blood Moon me, but that means they're cutting themselves off of all their blue mana. And I'm pretty okay with that. As long as they don't like Blood Moon and have Unholy Heat. Alright, now we just don't care about anything. Sweet, who cares about Blood Moon now? Not us. Petty theft, I hardly knew her. Alright, you got a bauble. Alright, so now we're just like countering whatever they draw off the bauble. See if they want to cast the Blood Moon. You got it. We're Blood Mooned out. How are we ever going to win if we don't get to cast our magic cards? Like, we can't even cast a Fatal Push here? How cringe is that? Alright. Opponent decided to be nice and gift us the win. I appreciate it. Ooh, I don't think we had a chance if they decided to play it out. Honestly, I don't see how we win from that spot. All right. 1-0 for the Murktide list. Let's keep the train a-rolling. Chugging on down them tracks. Fatal Push is just a Zeatora card. I mean, you're not wrong. Like, we're not even playing Maestro mid-range anymore. Make sure I change the stream title. What do I want to do with this? Opponent mold, I think I'm going to follow them. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Yeah, we're keeping it. We don't play Street Wraiths and Thought Seizes and Death Shadows to not keep this. Easiest snap keep of our life. Like, you know what would have made our hand better? 4 uncastable blue 2-drops. That's all we needed. Like, all we needed was for our opponent to, like, Blood Moon us, Wasteland both of our blue sources, and then just have us draw, like, all irrelevant things. Alright, what is this? Plains Island Swamp, so Esper. We found our Flooded Strand, so, like, hand's perfect. Literally can't lose from here. That's a Calibrated Blast. That is a Calibrated Blast. Alright, well, I, for one, am a big believer that opponents never had it. It being a second copy of Calibrated Blast off the top. I guess they could have drawn a Scion of Draco, which is what this looks like. Alright. Alright, I'm not too upset about them casting a Scion here. So let's start by attacking. See if our opponent decides to throw the chump block. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah. Now do I want to Thought Seize a little bit? Excuse me? But that does shuffle their other Calibrated Blast back into their deck, so I'm liking our position here. Alright, and my cycling. What am I doing here? I think yes. I really wanted to hit another land so I could play out the Murktide and hold up. Alright. So now we should be okay. We can, unless they have Boseiju, Calibrated Blast as their 2 cards. But I can't remember if Boseiju comes in tapped or not. Let's go. Let's go. Alright. If it says Counterspell, it's coming in. Do I want Spreading Seas? I think I do, because if they're playing a bunch of like Nephalia Academies or whatever and Boseijus, I want to be able to target those. I don't hate like a single copy of Soul Guide Lantern. Fatal Pushes I know are coming out. Dismember's okay for like speeding up my clock and taking out a Scion of Draco. Dress Down's not great. I just want the extra Turok as a body. Boseiju does come in tapped, would be broken if it didn't. Right. I might as well double check. You never know. New Boseiju comes in untapped. So probably know this already, Mike, but when they put Blast on the stack, it'll show you what card and therefore how much damage you'll take before it resolves. Sometimes they dud and hit another Blast for not much damage. Right. So they have like some number of Throes of Chaos, like 2, and then like 4 more Calibrated Blast. So there's a reasonable chance that they whiff. I do want to go ahead and Thought Seize in case their hand like revolves around a Scion or something. Alright, we're going to die to the Scion. Hope y'all ready. GG's. Appreciate you being here. See you next time. We tried. Had a good run. Thank y'all for being so supportive. Ugh. We need a Death Shadow off the top right here. Hey, Ben, you remember that talking about giving myself hope thing? That's what that draw just did for me. Oh, they also have the blast. Yuck. Yuck. Let's drown this. We've got like tiny little bit of hope, but they do have Sekenzen. So if they have another land, like I could just die to that anyway. So we need to draw this. Oh, they just have another Calibrated blast. Never mind. Keep a double Scion hand, rip double Calibrated blast. Alright. I don't think I really want to change anything. Like, I guess I could bring in Hercule's Recall and just like try to bounce Draco. Is that better than anything? Nope. This is so close. So Street Wraith hits a second land. Like a fetch land. I've got Fetch, Wraith, Thoughtseize in the yard, 2 lands. Like a third fetch land would let me play out Murktide. I think I've got to mull this. This is so close. Like, if one of these stubs was a second land, it's like snap. Snap keep if I've got a second land. I can Thoughtseize before they can Thalia Academy. I'm gonna mulligan and hate myself for it. I mulliganed and I hate myself for it. Absolutely hate myself for it. There's Beseiju. Which means they can't Scion me here. Alright, so they Calibrated blast me here. I get to Soul Guide Lantern the first blast. Let's get a tapped Watery Grave. Alright, so now we're going to Spreading Seas the Beseiju. They get to cast a Calibrated blast. Like 15. So we're just like dead to second Calibrated blast. So I wonder if I was supposed to just hit the red source with that. Maybe. Oh yeah, we are dead to Mishra's Factory. But who's dead to Mishra's Factory when your opponent just has multiple Calibrated blasts? Ah. So we had to pick our poison, but... So Beseiju, multiple Calibrated blasts. Rough. Like, that would be a good matchup if they didn't have access to Beseiju and just, like, didn't care about anything else. This deck's like 30 red sources. Well, they only had one there, so... Oh, it's absolutely a meme deck. Like 200% a meme deck. But I mean, I would consider like any combo deck where your combo can whiff fairly often to be a meme deck. Six Sigma, what's up? Just statistically, it was correct to seize the Beseiju. Probably. Like, it's a rough call across the board, because if they have fourth land, Sekenzin, I'm dead to the tokens. I'm dead to the, what's it called, on board. Maybe splash white for Deflecting Palm next league. The real tech. Alright, so this is the kind of hand where all I can do is pray that my opponent doesn't have like a Ragavan on turn one. And this is kind of what we saw out of our blue-black Murktide opponent earlier. Where they had, they died with like counter spells in hand and stuff. Just like another Murktide opponent. Yeah, I was super dead, but... opponent barely wanted to kill me. Make them think we're living in. That's my plan. Okay. We can, in fact, kill that. I'm probably going to have to take a hit off of it, but... because I don't want them to resolve a Murktide here. So let's go Island. Attempt to Drown Lock. See, I missed a couple follows. Varash, Six Sigma, Kepslino. Give me pronunciations if I'm saying anything wrong, but thanks all of y'all so much for the follows. Hope you're having an awesome day so far. Appreciate you coming and hanging out. Want to consider into Counterspell. Spell Pierce. Alright. I don't think I can draw both a mana source and what's it called? Thoughtseize. So, probably gonna have to take another hit off this Ledger Shredder. Drummer080, thank you so much for the follow as well. Hope you're having a fantastic Monday so far. Appreciate you coming around and hanging out. Kind of want to just dress down here. See if maybe they'll fight over this. Like, I just want land drops, but... Murktide Regent. Not the most impressive of threats right here. Could be if I'm able to, like, stop them from playing a Murktide. I was going to try to draw two. Alright, here's a Death Shadow. What you want to do about it? Do I just need to play out the Murktide here as well? No. Steal my shadow. Alright, well, we're gonna kill the Ledger Shredder. You do get to connive, but if they go like Ledger, or not Ledger Shredder, Murktide, then I just get to play like a bigger, or I guess a just as big Murktide. 1, 2, 3. Oh no, it's not just as big yet. I'll figure it out. Oh, do they just have like a bunch of counter spells in hand? Is that what's going on? Alright, so let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cast ourselves a Murktide Regent. An opponent's gonna go, I don't want you to have a Murktide. I want to have a Murktide. They're gonna counter our Murktide, but they don't counter our Murktide, so Unholy Heat. That doesn't kill a Murktide. Petty Theft. So you do have the counter spell. Just like super ridiculously patient with it. Okay. I can dig it. Oh boy. Do you have double lightning bolt? Because like once I commit to this Thoughtseize, I'm fine with going down to 4. I'm just not going down to 3 if I can help it. Fight over this because I believe my spell quality is better. Am I countering lightning bolt? No. Last card is Unholy Heat. So now I am going to go down to 1 to play Murktide Regent. 4, 5, 6, 7. Because there's no difference between 2 and 1 here. And the hope is that they don't draw something like an expressive iteration this turn. Alright, we are attacking because we need to get our opponent down to 0. Counterspell that. Oh, if their last card is Unholy Heat. But they've already seen like 3 of those, right? Yeah, they've already seen 3 heats. And I also have to think about, like, am I drawing 2 if they do nothing here? No. We're just hanging out with our counterspell. In case their last card they have is a land. Survey says... What would they not play? How'd I do in the challenge? Horribly. I punted. I misplayed, like, everything that could go wrong, I made go wrong. Odawara. Alright, well, can't do much about an Odawara. Can replay a 4/4 Murktide Regent, though. Classic Mike, I know. Absolutely classic Mike. One thing I'll never understand about Moto is if I were to crack this Scalding Tarn here, it just, like, loses the game automatically. There is no take back off that. It's just like, nope, you cast the Scalding Tarn, or crack the Scalding Tarn, you dead. Rafa, good night. Do you think Damir's Shadow is better than Grixis? They're just doing different things, right? Thank you for the follow as well. Like, Grixis is really geared towards playing the, like, I'm going to keep throwing dudes at you. And it's going to be a lot better against, like, the mid-range matchups where your guys are getting dealt with pretty aggressively. But, like, Dimir like this is going to be a whole lot better against anything unfair. Like, you get just more counter spells. You still have a lot of game in those mid-range matchups, but for the most part, you're just trying to be like the deck that's doing the protect the queen style. Get a big dude down. Dress down was the other one I was a little iffy on. Almost forgot about the alternate casting cost of paying mana to cast Dismember instead of always paying life. It comes up once in a blue moon. You're right. Like, all right. So Murktide, I got to make notes on my my sheet here. I think I want more Spreading Seas. Not just for, like, Beseiju. I just think the card in general is pretty solid. Alright. So I do not want to see my opponent play a turn 1 Ragavan. because I would like to hold up like Soft Stubborn Denial for an unlicensed hearse on turn 2. Or be able to just like end of turn Fatal Push a Ledger Shredder. They did mold a 5. What did I say, opponent? I said I don't want to see that. So I think I do just have to main phase Fatal Push this Ragavan. We make the statement a lot in decks like these of like, if your opponent has got it all, sometimes there's just nothing you can do about it. And that's kind of the approach here. Like, if they've got Ragavan followed up with, like, unlicensed hearse, I just can't do anything about it. So there's not a big reason to play around it. We'll pass the turn, hold up Counterspell. Might want to Counterspell like a... Oh, Stubborn Denial that. Get on out of here. And I do think I'm playing a Murktide this upcoming turn. Yeah. I can't Unholy Heat it right now. It's bigger than the Shredder, so I've got time to figure out what my next step is. They could, like, double bolt it. Or, like, bolt plus Unholy Heat. See what you got going on. You got all these cards over here. What I want to take. Just the Murktide so I can play out a Shadow this turn. Or I could take the Mystical Dispute, just like shut the Murktide off with Soul Guide. I don't hate that. But I got a Soul Guide. Ah! Ledger Shredder. I hate you so much. Keep forgetting about this stupid connive ability. Alright. This is fine. Kind of. For the most part, it's fine. Like, I still really want to find a second land. Or a third land. That's a-okay with me. Do you have another spell? They've got artifact, sorcery, creature, land. So they've got Unholy Heat live. Which means I don't want to make the first move on this Soul Guide Lantern. I think I'm going to pass and just, like, upkeep, drown and lock this Ledger Shredder. See if they'll fight over this. That's fine. So now I can go to my turn and, like, Thoughtseize plus Shadow and have Soul Guide up. Like, I'm shields down from a Murktide that turn. Odawara. So let's just go ahead and nuke your yard. So if I attack in with Murktide and they Odawara Shadow, they're attacking back for 3. And they've got a Murktide draw, or a Ragavan draw. They do get the Ragavan discount for Odawara. You're right. Maybe they don't know that. Alright. So I just like can't attack with 2 guys yet. Well, they're not going to attack or bounce Murktide while I've got Death Shadow sitting on the board. If I attack with 1, they just bounce the other. But if I don't attack with anything... Like, now I kind of want to attack because I've got Dismember. Do I want to attack? Yeah. So if they go for like full value Odawara the Merc or the Shadow, then I just get to like dismember the Ragavan or something. And it like basically taps them out. Alright, so now let's dismember. That. If they counterspell, they can't Odawara. They could spell pierce and Odawara. But if they don't do anything, now they've got to pay full price for their Odawara. And if they do... What's my plan? Odawara the Murktide. Sure. I could take the Channeler. Is that my best line, or do I just want to like let them block? I think I just want to let them block and replay the Murktide. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Murktide comes back thicker than ever. Yeah, I think I like replaying here a lot more. Because I think if I find 4th land and I just get to like untap with Murktide Shadow double counterspell, it's like nothing they're doing. I was really hoping they were about to like steal my Shadow. That would have been so sick. Yeah, now this Murktide's on chump block duty, so... I do appreciate opponent like playing it out, but I think if you get to the point where you're playing out 3/3 Murktides on chump block duty, you're probably not winning that game. It does lead me to believe, though, that one of their last cards is Lightning Bolt, and they're trying to get like Lightning Bolt, Counterspell, Lightning Bolt, and kind of cheese out the game that way. Called it. Called it. Like, they might have even had the counterspell and they were just trying to find the second bolt. Which I appreciate. Play to your outs. That was definitely an opponent playing to win, not playing to not lose. So second note on the pad is spot removal is a bit of an issue in this deck. Like, we're only running 4 Fatal Push, a Dismember, a Blood Chief's Thirst. The 4 Drowning Lock can be spot removal. But if the deck doesn't, if you're on the draw and you don't have a Fatal Push or Dismember or Blood Chief's Thirst, the hands have looked really awkward. Because then you start getting to, like, okay, I need to answer, especially if it's Ragavan, I need to answer their 1-drop on 1, which means if they play a 2-drop under Counterspell on 2, I'm in a really rough situation. I always play to lose. A real Death Shadow gamer. I see you know the way of the life loss. Would love to play first. Like, I talk about it in all my YouTube videos. The difference between being on the play and on the draw in Modern is absolutely ridiculous. Opponent has revealed Gigantha the Wellspring. We have revealed Thoughtseize, the taker of cards we can't deal with the rest of the hand. What now? These are magic cards. So we're going to take the Cookbook so that we can get down the Shadow on turn 2. I do not want to take the Unearth and just give them the free turn 2 Unearth on like a Emery or Ledger Shredder or something. Turn 1 Piracy Charm kills a Rag. Tell me more. Say it slower. Alright. 0% chance opponent drew something to interact with this Shadow here, right? I guess I can cycle Street Wraith just in case. We are Night's Whisper gamers. So hopefully here they play out like Ledger Shredder. We get to dismember it, untap Night's Whisper, get in a good attack. It's Lightning Helix. Alright. Ledger Shredder. Go away. Could also play a 5/5 Murktide. Is that better? Is that better? Emery, Unearth, Unearth. So if they go land, no, land doesn't matter because they can't Unearth plus Emery and they can't Emery. So yeah, I think I'm going to slam another dude. Like, if they play a land and want to play a construct token, and they just die to dress down, so... 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hiya. Well, if Gonti likes to apply pressure, then I'm all for applying pressure. Alright. On to game number 2. So, Mystical Disputes, we saw, what's it called? Shredder and Emery. Spreading Seas and Dress Downs are good for sagas. Hercule's Recall, yeah. Bloodchief's Thirst is good against Asmo and Ledger Shredder. Might bring in. So for anybody that's checking out the channel for the first time, this is like the maybe list. Just because I put something here doesn't mean that I'm bringing it in. But I just want to take a look at like what my options are. Vasoy2323, thank you so much for the follow. Hope you're having an awesome Monday so far. But I can at least like take a look at cards over here and try to kind of formulate my plan around those. I'm going to shave down a Murktide because they probably have Grave Hate if they've got, what's it called? Urza Saga. What of these do I not like? We're down to, we can keep pushing. Push kills everything. Bloodchief might not kill Emery if it's not kicked. Don't think I want the third dress or the fourth dress down. 2 Mystical Dispute might be pretty ambitious. Or I like a piece of hand disruption or 2. How's a deck without Consider or Scour? And Thirst, I think, it's good main deck against all these elemental decks. So you think that the Thirst, Bloodchief's Thirst you prefer in the main deck? I'm not against it, but you do have to cut something, and I do like the stability of having so many like 4 ofs in your main deck, like 4 Shadow, 4 Thoughtseize, 4 Counterspell, 4 Archmage's Charm, 4 Fatal Push, blah 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 blah. Alright, Polluted Delta Bauble. Let's just go for Thoughtseize. Want to kill Omnath for sure? Well, you can just revolt your, what's it called? Revolt your Fatal Push. Alright, so they do have the Asmo, and the Emery, and the Manufacturer. So if I take the Emery here, Emery's like, ironically, scariest card for me out of that hand. If they top deck an Oven, then obviously that can change a little bit, but at the moment they don't have an Oven, so. Alright, Time Sieve is fine. Now they've got 3 cards in their yard, so I can Drown in the Lock an Academy Manufacturer, should I so choose. Nihil Spellbomb. I think I'm countering this just to stop the redraw. Like, it doesn't feel good, but if I let this resolve, then my Drown in the Lock is dead. If they drew, like, another Emery, they could play it off that. And we're just going to pass the turn here. Hold up Charm. The next turn we can Shadow, hold up Charm. I should have drawn 2 there. Definitely should have drawn 2. Bone Shards. So this is Bone Shards cast Asmo. So I have to let the Bone Shards resolve so I can counter the Asmo. And now we find out this card we would have drawn off the Archmage's Charm. So yeah, we would have been in better shape if we had just countered earlier. Or drawn 2 earlier. Let's cast you. We need to draw stuff. How about a Murktide? Not drawing 2. All right. So if they find 4th land, they can hard cast the Oval Chase Daredevil, which is not the end of the world. Now let's find threat. Not a threat. 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 All right. Step 1. Finding Shadow. Complete. Step 2. Opponent bricking. Complete. Step 3. Find Counterspell. Not quite. So let's go ahead and kill this. I'm going to attack in with a chunky Shadow. Put our opponent on a 1-turn clock. And survey says they find like an Unearth. Unearth Academy Manufacturer. Trigger the Daredevil so they can replay the Daredevil. Oh, man. Good draw from them. Not so good draw for us. So now we need like more whiffs. All right, Manamo's fine. Second threat. All right. Survey says... Okay. Let's go... Thoughtseize your unknown card. Sure. Attack with Shadow. Yep. Cast magnificently large Murktide Regent. Say go. And guess they could find like a bone shards. No, they'd have to sacrifice a dude, and they can't do that or discard. Yes. Ha 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 ha. On to match number 5. Let's see a few less lands here. Like 3 less, 3 more spells, so we don't have to sweat so much. But I mean, so far we're 2-0, 2-0, 2-0 against non-calibrated blast decks. So that's got to kind of like count for something, right? Let's see, what were y'all talking about? We also have counters and drown locks and dismembers free Omnath, all correct. Oh, Elementals probably plays Caverns, but not like the 4-color Yorion piles and stuff like that. And like Elementals, you just have to accept is an atrocious matchup. So like, unless you've got a whole bunch of dress downs and some luck, not gonna have a good time in that one. Can't keep that. It's a little bit better just because we have the Street Wraith. Street Wraith. My 4-color Yorion Elementals. Right. Like any of the Elementals heavy builds play or can play Cavern. Any of just like the Yorion pile builds don't. So I'm just saying like you're not beating the Elementals list. So I wouldn't put so much care into Cavern or not. What on earth is this? Nicol Bolas Dragon God. Man, Moto Leagues, you be wildin' out there. I guess on one side, like, we're 100% dying to this, this Hall of the Storm Giants if we don't see lands. Misunderstood you that, yeah, there aren't many Cavern decks around. Right, like... Right. We'll shock this in, because if they don't do anything relevant, I want to Archmage's Charm and draw 2. Tainted Indulgence. Sure. Dragon God in Modern, indeed. Alright, so I know Hall was one of their draws. Or no, they had one blind draw in there somewhere. But my hope is just to find like a Murktide region at some point, because it's going to make these fatal pushes look really bad. Okay. Are we going to get to Stubborn Denial and Nicol Bolas Dragon God in the year of our Lord 2022? Also, what's the ward on this thing? 3? Yeah. I've played it before, just thought I was the only one. Apparently not. You and Whoops. Clearly named after his choice in main deck registered cards. Joking. Joking. Fifth land. Hey. We can drown in the lock a Hull of the Storm Giants. But the more bright side is we find a threat. We're in, like, solid shape here. So, I think we're going to start thinning for a threat. Like, shock once and not shock once. So, if we find a Death Shadow, the Stubborn Denial is live. Put you on down the line. Savage Mike, Savage. I mean, I'm just saying, how many Nicol Bolas, the Dragon Gods, yeah, Nicol Bolas, Dragon Gods you registered recently? Not enough, probably. Murktide? Alright. Chow. Opponent's over there laughing like, that doesn't hit Nicol Bolas, Dragon God. How much is this to animate? 6. And I know they've got push, Nicol Bolas. I want to see. Now, I will not fight over this one. They've got push, Nicol Bolas, unknown. And not enough mana to fire up a Hull of the Storm Giants. Love to see it. Murktide Regent. Want Murktide Regent. We fighting. We fighting. I'm not fighting that much. Alright, so opponent has drawn counter spells and lands. But on the bright side, they're drawing counter spells and lands. They're not drawing ways to interact with us. Alright, so that's our last mana source. Another Archmage's Charm. Sure. Opponent is being way too patient. Don't like it. Need opponent to make moves. Like putting a Nicol Bolas Dragon God on the stack. Was at that moment he knew he fucked up. Alright. I think I'm gonna have to cast this Night's Whisper here. Like, I'm dead to the Hall of the Storm Giants, but I need to find a threat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, go. This dodges Fatal Push. Dress down does turn off ward. You are correct. But I can't just like play draw go from now until the end of time. So I feel like it might be reasonable to assume that they don't have like an unlimited number of answers for Murktide. And I know 2 of their cards in hand are dead against it. This looks like Kick a Blood Chief's Thirst. Got another counter spell? Yeah, you do. No, you don't. Snapcaster Drown in the Lock. Oh boy. Second Murktide. Not second Murktide. So if I go Thoughtseize, take you, instep, dress down. So that if they animate Hall of the Storm Giants, I get to Drown in the Locket. So it looks like they're just playing Grixis to splash for Nicol Bolas. So casting that doesn't matter too much. Oh. Make them ditch their hand. Maybe get some information going into the post-board games. But it looks like they're just playing counter spells, kill spells, Nicol Bolases. Find a counter. Cycle Shark type. Okay. Did they write something in chat? Looks like it. Opponent said, hi, have fun, so you really are a control freak. I just said I think that goes both ways. Alright, Turok's pretty good. Stub is good. Mystical Disputes are fine. Spreading Seas is fine. Potentially Soul Guides. Fatal Push looked meh. Dismember looked really meh. Dress Down didn't look good. What else? I think I just want to board out the rest of the Fatal Pushes. Like if I'm going to fight over Snapcaster, it's going to be fighting on the stack, not fighting the 2-1 body. What do we got? What do we got? It's like 175 degrees in here. Wonder if the AC's out. Hope not. That would suck. Let's see, Stesio or Stechio. Give me a pronunciation. Thank you so much for the follow. Hope you're having an awesome Monday so far. For everybody hanging out, appreciate y'all coming around and checking out the channel today. If it's your first time being here, my name's Michael, or the Control Freak on Magic Online. Play a whole bunch of Modern, especially a lot of Death Shadow. So if you see a Death Shadow list that looks cool, feel free to send it my way. If you ever want to see any of the previous leagues or any previous builds or something, you can see them on YouTube at the Space Control Freak. I'm just gonna take Counterspell, or you can go exclamation YouTube in chat if you want a link. Making a goal to get up to 1,000 YouTube subscribers, which I think we're like 250 right now or something. So gotta plug the YouTube. All right, so we took Counterspell, so we should be able to get down Shadow next turn if we want to. Like Shadow, hold up, Counterspell. The Italian pronunciation. Like Stecchio. Alright, we knew about Hull. Go ahead and fetch and shock, then the deck a little bit. Did you not like Tainted Indulgence? I played some games with it and it felt quite good, especially because of it being an instant. I did not particularly care for it. It was always 2 mana, draw 2, discard 1, which was not a great rate to me. Like, I never had it a single time be 2 mana, draw 2 cards. And that was a little bit of a deal breaker. I kind of want to stub this. Like, they could have an answer to the Shadow, but I think I just want to be able to untap and, like, Night's Whisper and hold up Counterspell. Yep. Like, I get the draw of it being an instant, but I really want, like, card advantage spells, not just, like, a little bit of card selection. And that's what it felt like, just bad card selection. Alright, leave my Shadow alone. So I know they've got Island, Shark Typhoon, Unknown, Unknown. Yep. Alright, so now I can Thoughtseize the Shark Typhoon without making a dude. Yep. Alright, race to find a threat. Turok Dread Cantor is, by all technicalities, a threat. But we do need to find something a little more sizable than Turok if we're going to close the game out before Hall of the Storm Giants kills us. Something like that. So let's start with Thoughtseize. Do not get to kill. Swing in with Turok. Cast a large and in charge Murktide Regent. One that may even be larger than a Hall of the Storm Giants. They call me Merkfather. Alright. I'm just swinging twice with a Murktide. If opponent top decked a Shark Typhoon, like, power to them. But I need them to not have some piece of the puzzle here. Yeah. Like, if they had all the removal plus the counter spells and the top decks, not beating it. I'll just accept that one. So, ironically, this is like one of the few times that I would much rather this Soul Guide Lantern be Nihil Spellbomb. It's like way better as Spellbomb against the fair matchups. Way worse against the unfair matchups. So, if you're trying to decide for like a local meta, if you're expecting a bunch of mid-range mirrors and things like that, play Nihil Spellbomb. If you're expecting a bunch of Dredge and Living In and stuff like that, play Soul Guide Lantern. They call me the Sugu. So you can Sugun these nuts. Alright. Hand disruption? Oh. Alright. Pass it up. Opponent gets to play Triomes in perfect mana. Totally not fair. Let's cast a Soul Guide Lantern and see if opponent does anything about it. This seems like the kind of opponent who's going to end a turn, Fatal Push, and untap and play like a 3-mana Narset. Just going to go ahead and throw that out there. It's the impression that I get. They're just ready to Narset me. Now, if they don't Fatal Push and Narset, then we're on to something. I also have to think about, like, is there a likelihood that I'm just casting out a Murktide next turn as like a 3/3? Like, if they main phase kill this Shadow, do I just want to play out the Murktide and, like, play around Drown in the Lock? Which I don't hate, honestly. Let's do that. Why not? Or did I delve too many? Whoops. It's okay. Here we are. I guess I could just like crack this and draw a card now if that's the case. Something, something, mana efficient. Something, something. Running 0 basic swamps. Yeah, you don't want basic swamp in your counterspell, Archmage's Charm, Murktide, hold up, counterspell deck. Archmage's Charm, draw 2. Okay. Yeah, it's just too high on the blue requirements for basic swamp. Like, it's the kind of situation where if you could run basic swamp and guarantee that you never draw it, it would be fantastic. But because there's a number of games where you just draw it and never wanted to, tough luck. Alright, so we got Polluted Delta, Flusterstorm. I like to play less blue sources than I need to, just a personal preference. It's a good preference to have. Like, you don't want to get blue flooded in your deck that needs blue. Why would you want to... Why would anybody want such a thing? Real fate worse than death, if you ask me. No, Turok, no! There are parts of the depth of my soul that want to hard cast this Street Wraith here. So I'm going to. Can we get an exclamation true name nemesis in chat? Ah, they scared. They scared. Just let me have my true name nemesis. It's fine that you have a swamp. It's no big deal. That's like probably my favorite command in this channel, the true name nemesis command. Alright, so I think I'm just playing Protect the Queen on this Murktide Regent from here on out. They could have another Flusterstorm. I can pay for another Flusterstorm. Yes. 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 Because, like, they haven't killed this Murktide yet, so I feel like they're trying to find a way to do so. Shaking and crying because our opponent wouldn't let us resolve the true name nemesis. I mean, I agree. Like, you ever cast a true name nemesis? It's pretty addicting card. Also appreciate that we got to pay for a Flusterstorm. It's been a while since I've gotten to do that. Snapcaster Mage. So am I just drowning locking this? Yeah. Show me another Flusterstorm. So I guess we do turn on Drown in the Lock. Counter you. And that does it. Well, Knight's Whisper to be technically correct. You know, play around, I don't know, something. 4, 5. Boom. Ha 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 ha. Alright, Blue-Red Murktide improves its win rate to, let's see, 17-3, 17-5. Yeah, 17-5. Pixely Exile, thank you so much for the follow. Hope you're having an awesome Monday so far. Appreciate you coming around and hanging out, checking out the deck. So, what did I think about the deck? Obviously, the games where like the Protect the Queen style works are fantastic. We saw like in that last match there that Murktide does get to dodge a lot of removal that some other decks don't get to dodge, which is pretty huge. The Shadow side was relevant in matchups against things like the Food deck where we just got out a quick Shadow, put a bunch of pressure on our opponent. Knight's Whisper does have some awkward moments being sorcery speed compared to Tainted Indulgence. I remember the name that time. Holy crap. But I still think Knight's Whisper has been better overall for me than Tainted Indulgence has. Just being like card advantage instead of card selection. Let's see, I'm a bit worried about the low number of threats. So there is a low number of threats, but you usually have like a really good amount of interaction until you find one. And when you are able to find one, you're a lot more likely to be able to just like play out your threat, protect it for multiple turns, get the clock going that way. So I wouldn't be overly concerned. It plays a lot like 2016, 2017 Grixis Shadow, where you're just like doing that combo style of draw, interact, draw, interact, draw, interact, land a threat, combo it with a counter spell, draw, interact some more, like that. And usually in those situations, it's really, really good. All right. What else do we think? Sideboard, Spreading Seas was really nice. I think I really want another copy of Spreading Seas. Hercule's Recall never came up, but we did see a food deck, so it would have been live if we had drawn into it. The Blood Chief's Thirst was fine, especially that first league where we just saw a whole bunch of prowess stuff. I would have loved Blood Chief's Thirst. So Turok over Brazen Borrower. I think Brazen Borrower is probably better than Turok, but I don't think Brazen Borrower is the best thing we can be doing with that slot. So I'm going to keep like trying out options as we go, see if I find something that just feels better than Brazen Borrower. But I think out of those options, Brazen Borrower is better than the Turok. Justly XX. Hey mate, how's it going? Doing well. How about yourself? We just went 4-1 with a little blue-red or blue-black Murktide. Let's open some chests. Why not? Need play points. Commander's Plate. I have no idea what this is, but equipped creature gets +3/+3 and has protection from each color that's not in your commander's color identity. Sounds like it would be cool for like a Isamaru style Voltron deck. Colossus of Sardia. 9/9 trample for 9. Doesn't untap during your untap step. Pay 9 to untap it, but only during your upkeep. Only during your upkeep. Wooded Bastion, one of my favorite dual lands of all time. Was in my very first like F&M spiking constructed standard deck. 85 play points is amazing. Nightmare, Research Thief, Kamigawa Neon Dynasty Commander. So 3/3 flash flyer. Whenever an artifact creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. And I feel like this is going to be a Ragavan. Nope. Luna, Apex of Wishes, and God Eternal Oketra. Oh well. Let's see.